The Charizard and Moltres EX deck is one of the top tier meta decks in Pokemon TCG Pocket. By utilizing the correct strategy, Charizard EX can be quickly set up to use Crimson Storm 2 or 3 turns in a row, instantly defeating even the bulkiest defending cards. How to build this deck, use it effectively, and other useful tips will all be covered in this guide. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Let's start off with the deck composition and where to get all the necessary cards. There are a total of 8 actual Pokemon, those being duplicates of Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard EX, and Moltres EX. The only other cards in this deck that must be obtained from card packs is a pair of Sabrina trainer cards. The remaining cards, which can all be obtained fairly easily from the item shop, are duplicate pairs of the Potion, X-Speed, Pokeball, Red Card, and Professor's Research cards. One of the great parts about this deck is that all pack obtained cards are found in the same type of pack, that being the genetic Apex Charizard pack. If you only purchase this pack type, then there is a good chance that you will get all or nearly all required cards for this deck through just the initial burst of free packs that can be obtained through completing all these solo battles. If you do need to substitute for any missing duplicate Pokemon, try to go for basic Pokemon that have a high amount of HP and relatively low retreat cost. Completing those battles and the various challenges they offer will provide shop tickets, which can be exchanged for pack hourglasses to get more free packs. Just be sure to save enough shop tickets to also get the remaining cards for this deck. Those are 2 Potion, X-Speed, Pokeball, Red Card, and Professor's Research cards. These support cards will help a great deal in getting win conditions set up in matches, or otherwise interfere with an opponent's ability to do the same. Also, while it's great to get lucky and have the rarer, more flashy looking versions of cards in the deck, it isn't necessary. As long as you can get the base version of all these cards, the rarest ones being Moltres EX and Charizard EX, the strategy will work the same. With that, let's get into actually using this deck and different viable win conditions. We'll start with the optimal starting hand and strategy. For this, going first is fine, but going second can also have a slight advantage. Ideally, we will have at least one Moltres and one Charmander. In almost any scenario, we want to play Moltres as our active Pokemon. We then want to have Charmander placed on the bench. Also, this first match is a perfect example of how even a great start can be immediately subverted if the opponent also gets lucky. In this case, my opponent immediately used a Misty card and got extremely lucky, which allowed them to start blasting away with Articuno EX's Blizzard on their first turn. In such a scenario, there is basically no chance of winning. Moving on to the next game, my start was not as immediately promising. I did have a Moltres, but not other basic cards to play. To take advantage of Moltres' Inferno Dance, that needed to change and fast. Also, Moltres is an unusual fire type card in that it is weak to electric type. So in this match, we want to get Moltres out of play as soon as possible. At the start of my turn, I didn't have a benched Pokemon or any that I could play in my hand. Fortunately, I did have a Professor's Research card. That allowed me to draw 2 more cards. One of those was a Pokeball, which I was then able to use to have a 2/3 chance of getting a Charmander, which I did. At this point, we want to start building up our Charizard EX. That starts by putting a Fire Energy on Moltres and using the Inferno Dance move. This has us flip 3 coins, and for each heads, we can put a Fire Energy on one of our benched Fire-type Pokemon, Charmander in this case. This can allow us to quickly outpace the number of active energy tokens on our team, which provides one of the major advantages of this deck type. If you don't get this setup going by your second or third turn, the battle is going to become a pretty big uphill battle, and other strategies will need to be used. Back to the game at hand, at this point we want to evolve our Charmander towards Charizard EX and continue stacking up Fire Energy on it. We can do this all through Moltres' Inferno Dance while also adding more Fire Energy to Moltres so that it can either retreat or use its Heat Blast attack. Alternatively, we can also expedite the process of building up Charizard EX by adding the 1 fire token that we get returned to Charmander in addition to using that Inferno Dance. In this scenario, I can already retreat Moltres with X speed, so I'm investing all possible fire energy into the Charmander and evolving it towards Charizard EX, my win condition. By turn 6, we already have our Charizard EX and enough energy to use Crimson Storm. Doing this will consume 2 fire energy tokens, so we need to make sure that we stack on additional fire energy as we are able to. Since we started using Crimson Storm at 5 fire energy, it means we will be able to add another fire energy next round to use Crimson Storm again. This might cause issues if we need to defeat 3 enemy Pokemon to win the match. However, since the first Pokemon we are defeating is an EX, which gives 2 win points, we only need to defeat 1 more Pokemon of any type after that to win the match. My opponent made a last-ditch effort play here with a Sabrina card. He wanted me to get Charizard EX in play without it having 4 fire charges. Rather than take the bait, I charged up Charizard to full strength and planned to put it in the next round, guaranteeing my victory. Realizing this, my opponent conceded. Let's wrap this video up by discussing the strengths and weaknesses of this deck. The Charizard and Moltres EX deck goes great against just about any grass type deck. It also does fairly well against the Mewtwo EX and Gardevoir meta deck. Water decks can cause problems, but only if your enemy gets lucky with a Misty Trainer card, or if they get Starmie EX up and going within the first 2 or 3 turns. If not, there should be enough time to get Charizard EX set up, and at that point it doesn't really matter what the enemy has. One of the biggest threats is actually an electric type deck. Moltres is vulnerable to electric, and that makes it tough to leave in the active spot in order to set up Charizard EX. Other fast meta decks, such as Marowak EX, can also get lucky and defeat Moltres EX before Charizard EX is ready to go. Still, unless your opponent gets very lucky or you get very unlucky, this deck will work very well in most cases. If you have any suggestions on how to improve this deck, please leave a comment. Also, if you have any further questions on how the deck works, you can reach out to me in the comments where I'll do my best to help. If you want to see more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Tuesday, and as always, thanks for watching.